mean, Riley Cooper, I mean, like, that dude deserves a statue. I mean, like,
number one on your speed dial.
Hey, I'll tell you what, like, I mean, I didn't know until a couple days after the fact. I was like, wait a minute, is he the MVP or like was he on the all-tournament team?
No doubt about it.
And then Ty Floyd, when I struck out 17, and like stole it from him. But I was like, when has a pitcher like been a part of like 5 of the 6 wins in Omaha? I mean, what a performance!
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. Yes, sir.
Sorry I'm a little late, boys. At the spring game, obviously, as you can see. A couple of booze cruises here to do. Let's do it. Cruise. Grand salami to the boys. Finally back on track. And I got another one coming. Don't you think I don't? And that's how we roll in Tiger Stadium.
Just watching the spring games that were on television, one thing that jumped out about your squad is your quarterback room is very talented compared to a lot of the league and a lot of the country. I wonder, is it easier to recruit that position when you have talent or when you don't have talent? Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you. Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. There's Jordy.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Tearing up, answering the question, I thought, my God, if she gets offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast, no matter where we at, we live. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show, yeah.
Let's go! Let's go!
All right.
Big day. Big day.
Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. Welcome into a Thursday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, live here from our Click Here digital campus on this Thursday morning and built every single day by our friends over at RMB Builders. Brett Bourgeois and the crew at RMB can be found online at rmb-builders.com. You can look them up on Instagram at RMB Builders as well. Appreciate you finding us here on this Thursday. If you don't mind, start the show with a like, share, comment, get involved here. If you're watching, if you have not hit that thumbs up, we'd appreciate it if you can do so. If you have not subscribed to the show, hit the subscription button. Remember, our phone line is brought to you every single day by Southern Regional Medical Center. Our friends over there, Charlie Harvey, Jason Ramazan, and the entire crew, bring you our phone lines today, and we are going to talk to Chris Blair coming up here at 8:15 this morning. We got a couple of texts in to Glenn West, Big G from 247, who I know was under the weather last week, and Andy Staples from a national standpoint, who works for On3, to get a look at this college football weekend, which is sneaky, pretty good.
Implications everywhere.
Pretty good slate. I mean, this is kind of a moving Saturday if you're looking at college football when you look at some of the matchups around. Obviously, the headliner of the weekend is going to be Penn State, Ohio State. Both the Big Noon Fox show and College Game Day going to be on campus for that game. That's going to be an enormous.
God, the big noon kickoff has got to be starting to get frustrated.
Yeah.
Because it used to be the SEC show pretty much for College game day, and now they're like, oh, let's look around the country, and they've been kind of sharing some space there lately.
Yeah, it has been. But yeah, look, I mean, it's good to see that they're both at the biggest game, right?
Oh yeah.
As the weekend coming up is packed, as Ohio State is going to they're going to host Penn State this weekend at the Horseshoe. That's going to be the 11 a.m. kickoff. As far as the 11 a.m. game in the SEC, it's Mississippi State and Arkansas is going to be that kickoff. And then Tennessee-Alabama is a game that I think is intriguing because of Tennessee's defense. I think Tennessee's defense is going to give Alabama some trouble offensively. Alabama their offensive line, it's crazy how bad they are. I mean, like at this point, I don't think that they're like that. You can say like, man, they don't look as good as they used. Like, forget that. Like they're one of the worst in the conference. I mean, the way they give up pressure, sacks, they can't keep anybody. You know, Milroe he probably tucks it too quick, but I think he's got a little bit of PTSD, right? But I tell you a game that I'm really paying attention to this weekend, and this is kind of a big spot for Shane Beamer in South Carolina, is South Carolina and Missouri. You see Beamer broke his foot?
Yeah, kicking
God.
the wall.
Kicked the wall in the locker room after the game.
Broke the foot.
Those immovable objects are tough on coaches.
Yeah, on IR.
I mean, like, so.
Are we going to have a
I think he's gonna
Sean
boot.
Payton
I think
situation?
he's gonna boot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you know he's going to be. I mean, let's not get it twisted here. Beamer loves himself some Beamer.
Yeah, sure.
So he'll ham this thing up. He probably will get that thing branded.
Got to.
It'll be a South Carolina cast.
I
You know,
don't
he'll
know
do
what
something.
I don't know what happened to the damn thing.
Man, it's my foot.
Changes the whole strategy of that cockwalk thing.
Yeah. Pick up the bird.
It's Cocktober, man.
Yeah, Cocktober.
right.
Anything can happen.
So, look, tough loss last weekend versus Florida at home.
At home to a Florida team you didn't know a lot about, but now it feels like you know a little bit more.
At the Willie B.
5-star Graham Mertz.
Now they're on the road
Finally looked
this
it.
weekend against a Missouri squad coming off of a pretty big win. I'd say their biggest win of the year, right? At Kentucky.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Missouri's biggest win. I mean, I know the Kansas State game is the one that they rushed the field for, but I mean, in the league, same
were at
side of the
Kentucky too,
division, on the road.
Kentucky at night.
I mean,
and Kentucky hopped out to an early lead.
It's weird.
Kind
out
of went
there.
the way you thought it was going to go with Kentucky at night, trying to get right game, and then Missouri just kind of found a way without even Luther balling out that much. Yeah. They kind of did it a different way, which kind of glad LSU's past that one. It's gonna that one's going to prove to be big for LSU because Missouri's going to have a pretty good record at the end of the year where you look back at that game and go, okay, maybe the defense, if you can say the defense got right against that team, maybe there's more to LSU than people think.
I agree. I mean, I think that Missouri win last weekend, and if they can put back-to-back wins against Eastern opponents, Kentucky and South Carolina, that's kind of a shift in order in the East. If that's what it's going to look like. If Missouri's going to beat Kentucky and South Carolina, I know I had both of those programs ahead of Missouri as far as the pecking order went on the Eastern Division side going into the season.
You saw Kentucky almost, it was the year for them to take the next step. They go and get a transfer quarterback, and that seems to have not proved it. You get a North Carolina State quarterback that was thrown it kind of around the lot at North Carolina State, so I don't know if it's
struggling.
And this is being kind. He's terrible.
I don't know if it's a Kentucky offense thing or if it's a him thing.
I think it's more of the Kentucky offense because it's more.
They haven't had a quarterback under Stoops.
It's more of a pro style.
I mean,
Levis wasn't good.
Like a spread type of thing. Yeah, Levis is.
But he played at a different style. He was so athletic that he could make that work. But he wasn't a drop back passer that scared you.
Athletic.
Yeah, athletic.
First time.
I just think it's more of a ground and pound defense. The Georgia game exposed them.
Yeah.
Once they tried to go in and play how Georgia plays, and they got out Georgia about 40.
Yeah.
It was okay. I think the playbook of Kentucky is out.
Ole Miss and Auburn this weekend at Jordan-Hare. Big spot for Hugh Freeze and the crew. First time Lane Kiffin going back to the Plains since interviewing for the job.
What if Auburn beats Ole Miss? It'd be it's some weird stuff. Weird stuff happens in October in that.
First time Hugh Freeze squaring off against the Rebels since being ousted. This is, I'm telling you, this is a spot for Lane.
That one.
Oh, yeah.
This is a spot where he's got to win. I mean, this is a lot of pressure on Ole Miss. Auburn's playing probably pressure free as far as just the feeling of it goes. Coming off of a tough, bad loss at LSU. I mean, there's some opportunity here for Auburn. I would not be shocked. I don't expect it to happen, but I would not be shocked if Auburn was able to, pull off something miraculous here.
I wouldn't think. Lane Kiffin probably has a little something up his sleeve. He wouldn't be retweeting articles about opinion pieces of him being fired if he loses to Auburn. The first person to retweet it was Lane Kiffin.
Love it.
So I think he feels pretty confident in what's going on against his squad against Auburn. They're just not very good. Like, as much as you want to give credit to LSU, I mean, the defense looked better. The offense was humming. It was a night game in Tiger State. They're bad.
Auburn's defense is okay, but their offense is...
They got nothing. They got no juice.
Look around.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when they were on
27.
offense, who were you scared of?
Jacquez Hunter.
And they got on the ball.
Never gave him the ball.
Well, because you got down 17-0. Yeah. And so if you
Peyton Thorne go win the game.
Yeah, if you go, obviously it's hard to say this. Whenever they played close against Georgia, and you thought maybe some of that would roll. Who else were they in a tight match against? They lost both of them. Was it Alabama? No, they played Alabama. Auburn and Auburn played Georgia close and another top 10 team pretty close. Oh, and was
Texas
A&M? Yeah, A&M when A&M was good. Now, it turns out they might not be very good either. But that was kind of the storyline that you were looking at whenever they're rolling into LSU was, okay, Auburn's played some good teams close, and now LSU kind of may have ended their season pretty early with a knockout blow of a 40-point win. Whenever you see the blueprint of get up 17 and make their offense try to score with you, and Ole Miss is seeing that and going, okay, we just did that with LSU, and LSU actually had an offense.
Right.
Auburn has nothing on offense that scares you at all. So if you get up early and it's this faux rivalry game with all the storylines packed in, you might see Kiffin hang 50.
Duke has a chance. I'm reading that Riley Leonard, he might play. Is this...
Let me look this.
I mean,
the injury didn't look great.
It did not look great at all. So Duke is at Florida State this weekend. The game totally changes if Riley Leonard's there. If he is there, I can't imagine how healthy he's going to be. But there is a storyline that he might play. Clemson's at Miami this weekend, which is another sneaky good game on the docket for Saturday. So not a bad slate when you're looking at it.
Well, the implications of that game.
Yeah, Mario Cristobal.
50-50, he keeps his job. Yeah, and the same thing with Dabo Swinney. You see what he said? Where he was...
Oh, God.
He was... maybe it's good for us to lose a couple games. The bandwagon was getting a little heavy. Had a little too many people on the bandwagon for a little old Clemson.
Dabo. He's dumb.
He's dumb. He can't help it either.
At the end of the day, he's just...
Like, he's showing... That's his personality. He's dumb.
If I was his agent, I'd be like, good
Greenbow,
Lord,
Alabama,
this
just
guy.
Lilo walk on. I mean, they were. Please give him the Alabama job.
Oh God,
they Les Miles'd him.
Dan Lanning, coach.
I mean, they paid him.
Oh yeah, and now he can say whatever he wants.
I mean, now he can come out there and be like, yeah, I guess we can lose games.
We ain't doing no NIL.
No transfer.
You know what?
No transfer.
NIL, name, image, likeness of Jesus Christ. It's like, yeah, 5-star. That's what I. Where's the bag?
Where's the money at?
Yeah. Hey, Catholic Church brings in a whole lot of money. We can play that game if you want. Donations everywhere.
I mean, I pulled up to Georgia on a Tuesday and had money.
Yeah, they still. Colin Simmons is already leasing a Tesla.
Yeah, right.
You think Clemson can keep up with that? Hell, LSU can't even sniff it. Big Texas.
Wait, he is really? Seriously?
Yes.
Wow.
He was at Texas, Oklahoma, the Red River Shootout, and it was him, Caden Durham, and DK Moore were all there, and Collins was getting his first Tesla. He's like, I don't know why he wants to do this, but hey, it's your money. The guy that was taking him around, and he was just test driving some Teslas. 17 years old.
Texas.
And he's not even stepped foot on
campus yet
with an actual scholarship.
Wow.
Well, remember, we're brought to you by Katie's Restaurant. Katie's is located down in New Orleans on Iberville Street. Katie's is online at katie'sinmidcity.com. Embracing the new Sunday hours over there. Remember, get in touch with them if you want to check out football, pregame, postgame, endgame, 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. 6 new televisions installed over at Katie's Restaurant. Sister restaurant in Francesca's is located over on Lakeview, in Lakeview. So if you want to check them out, online, katie'sinmidcity.com. katie'sinmidcity.com is where is where you can find him online. Scott Craig and the crew. Tell them that you heard it here. All right, this is going to have some major shakeup for LSU, in my opinion. Yesterday in recruiting, LSU lost one of the fastest rising DBs on the in the cycle for the class of 2024. Ondre Evans, who is out of Nashville, Tennessee, has been committed to LSU for months now. Decommitted and flipped to Georgia yesterday. And if you can't sell LSU's defensive backfield right now, and you can't close on players like Ondre Evans, even against schools and programs like Georgia, there is no excuse to lose recruits right now to anyone if you're LSU. You're just in that class where it doesn't matter who you're recruiting against. You've got the name brand. You've got all of the bells and whistles, the facilities, the atmosphere, the environment, the support staff, all of these guys are looking. Georgia's program, Alabama's program, Texas A&M's program, Texas program, all of the high dollar Ohio State, Michigan programs, all they are is just changing the logos on the facilities. Like, they're selling pretty much the same stuff. You got a Whirlpool, they got a Whirlpool. You got TVs in the locker, they got TVs in the locker. They got a support staff in a medical facility, they got a support staff in a medical facility. I mean, when it comes down to what everybody's getting, it's not a lot of, hey, I can go here to get this. The NIL stuff is going to be something that changes it a lot, but when you're recruiting players like Ondre Evans, no offense to Ondre, he's not breaking the bank as far as NIL is concerned coming out. He's one of those program guys that you got to get every single cycle. And for LSU to lose him at a position of need, that is going to put a ton of pressure on those position coaches now to either turn up the heat and start closing on some of these recruits, or, in my opinion, if the production and the execution is going to look like it is on Saturdays and you can't get players in the spring and in the summer, you got to go get somebody who can. Because LSU, the ground that they're losing in the defensive backfield by the day now, forget by the season, it's by the day they're taking on water in the defensive backfield room. If you can't get guys like Evans, and Evans has become, he flew up, 125 spots?
Unranked to 106.
He was off the board to a near top 100 prospect in the country. Those are the guys, along with Wardell Mack, along with Derek Williams, along with, all these guys that they're missing on, that it can't happen. It's inexcusable. To be direct, it's a fireable offense. That's what college football is graded and judged on. And I am not an advocate. I don't push. I'm not saying for people to lose their jobs. People have families. People are invested. They want that stuff. But if you can't get execution on the field and then you can't get the players in recruiting, that is the title of the job. That is what the job calls for. And if you can't close on guys in state like Wardell Mack, and then you have guys out of state who are high risers and guys that are big-time players, and you can't close on them, well, LSU's got a huge issue. LSU's got a big, big problem at a position where, from a reputation standpoint, they were the king of the mountain for 12, 15 years. Now, you've got your invitation swiped, and you're not even invited to the party anymore. Losing a prospect out of Nashville that's committed to LSU's DB room, I don't care if it's Georgia or the Baltimore Ravens. You don't lose that fight. that was a message. That was a shot across the bow, I thought, to the state of recruiting in certain positions at LSU right now. You know? I mean, this is the part where you have got to close. You've got to close on defensive backs. You got to get DBs. And, I mean, if you're not getting the state's best and then you're losing out-of-state guys that are flying up the recruiting boards.
You got to do one of the two.
I mean, it cannot be a room that's built on the transfer portal year in, year out. It's not sustainable. It can't be done.
I mean, we're watching it in real time that it's not sustainable.
And it feels like the LSU staff knows that. They've been on record saying that this is the last term that they want to go to the transfer portal and have to repair. They wanted to start building up the recruiting on the defensive backside because they know it's not sustainable. You can't just wait for players to fall out the portal. What if you're not going to have 4 and 5 stars leave the portal every year? That chooses LSU because now it doesn't feel like you have that DBU title anymore. I mean, here's what Ondre Evans said after his visit from Baton Rouge, or his decision to flip from Baton Rouge to Athens. I feel like in Athens they developed their guys very well. He told On3 this week of Georgia. I feel like they keep doing that. They'll continue to be a top program every year. There's a lot of good in that program. I think it's the first sentence that kind of tells you where he lies with LSU.
Yeah.
It's a development of guys. You haven't seen it.
And that's obviously what the message of what Georgia is pushing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a trained message.
In 3 years, you'll be a Philadelphia Eagle.
Right? I mean, like, that's what's being – and think about that. LSU – when's the last time LSU was dirty recruited against their development of DBs?
Yeah, it's not even a sentence.
I mean, like, when is the last time a college – I don't care when. How long back? There was – it has been a while since you've been able to walk in a living room and tell somebody from a defensive back standpoint, you can't go to LSU because you're not going to be developed. And if you come here, look at our track record. Look, I mean, it is that's a huge hit yesterday. And I know Terry Bussey's on the board, and I know Bussey is a guy that is, he's an athlete that if he's trending to LSU is going to be a defensive back, and he's a guy that you would love to have. But he's still committed to A&M, and you have to see that. You got to get that. Again, I mean, I'm watching some midseason run on Kai Bates, and I wonder where Bates fits in legitimately to this room. Because if you're going to play 10, 12 yards off the ball, well, then don't go get a cover corner like Bates is. He's a good cover guy with great ball skills. Right? Like, I mean, it's concerning on what's going on in the defensive backfield recruiting. I mean, it really is, from the guys that they are not landing to the guys that are on campus that are regressing. I mean, it's a story that we're going to have to continue to monitor. And I think you keep missing on these guys. Brian Kelly he's got a decision to make on what the future is going to be of that defensive back room. I mean, what are you looking for? What's the criteria? And I mean, how do you flip the narrative of development on the field and closing in the living room? Because that's the task. That's what the job calls for. And right now LSU is struggling mightily at a position where, from a reputation standpoint, I mean, they were the big dog in the room for so long. We'll see. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Go Roof, online at GEAUXroof.com. Go Roof is a proud supporter here of the Jordy Culotta Show. You can get in touch with them at 927-8300, 225-927-8300, and online at GEAUXroof.com. A beautiful roof every single time. 2-year free workmanship guarantee with all new roof installations. You can count on Go Roof for roof repair, installation, and roof maintenance on residential roofing, commercial roofing, and all your roofing repairs. Count on Go Roof today. A beautiful roof every single time. GEAUXroof.com, GEAUXroof.com. take your cell phone out. If you're on your cell phone listening, you can store this into your contacts list right now. That way, whenever you have roofing trouble, you don't have to search. You don't have to go through and find and who's going to come out. You already got it stored in. Put this under your roofer. Go Roof. 225-927-8300. No matter where you're listening to this, if you're in South Louisiana, then Go Roof can get to you today. GEAUXroof.com is where you can find them. I'm going to talk to Chris Blair coming up here, get his thoughts on LSU and Army this weekend, his thoughts of last weekend, a big LSU win for the Tigers as LSU was able to down Auburn big in that game, as that one was in Tiger Stadium. Big recruiting weekend as well, so still a lot to get to from LSU standpoint. But we'll also take some of your comments if you want to get involved. Let me know your thoughts on the state of recruiting right now, and specifically within the defensive backfield with Ondre Evans yesterday flipping to the University of Georgia from LSU. What's that mean for the future of that position? Where does LSU go now? If you can't land the in-state guys, you're losing out-of-state guys. It cannot be a blueprint that calls for transfer portals, transfer portal guys to make up the room. It can't happen. So we'll see, man. We'll be back. More of the show right after this. Jordy Culotta Show, built by RMB every single day. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Here you go.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Let's smell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
A real passion of mine is ACL injuries, but not just really in the treatment of ACL injuries, but how do we keep them from happening? So right here at Ochsner, we're doing some research studies on ACL injury prevention. We're working with some of our high schools, and we're testing different functional tests for athletes. And we're trying to identify people that are at risk for ACL tears. We're trying to catch them before those ACLs happen. And then we want to intervene with some injury prevention programs. And that's something that, being part of Ochsner Andrews Institute, we can continue on that research. We can expand the impact of that research. We can bring that to more athletes in our community.
Welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show, as always, built by R&B Builders, live here on this Thursday. Hit the like button, share button, comment button. If you're watching and hadn't hit that thumbs up button, do us a solid and hit that for us, as LSU and Army going to square off this weekend. Tonight, your football weekend can start here in South Louisiana as the New Orleans Saints playing host to the Jacksonville Jaguars here on this Thursday night.
Oh.
Everybody fired up?
Yeah.
Ready to watch paint dry?
Let's go.
The Saints offense.
Woo.
Back in action.
Versus the Jags.
Woo. Maybe no Trevor Lawrence.
Eesh.
Let's get weird.
CJ Beathard is walking through that door.
Ooh, Iowa quarterback.
I mean,
doesn't know anything about.
If you want to know anything about how good that 49ers system is, there's people that like CJ Beathard. Maybe he can do it.
Saints -1 with an over/under at 40 points tonight. Under feels like a lock.
Ugh, hold your nose.
Thursday night football, 40-point over/under. Sounds about right.
Seems like something Lloyd would do.
That's already been done, Coach.
I just saw something on Twitter. This man, 50-year-old man, arrested after faking heart attack in 20 restaurants to avoid paying the bill.
Damn.
Lloyd would do.
You got
just didn't have to go for that 20th one.
Just felt like my chest was hurting.
19
I'm
and 0.
gonna take that 30-ounce steak one more time.
But the man fakes it, and you know he's not riding the ambulance. He's going, I'm gonna go to my car.
I can drive.
I can drive.
Don't worry.
It's delicious.
It's just minor.
Yeah, Olive Garden, unlimited
20
bread,
heart attacks.
unlimited pasta and breadsticks.
I mean, after the 5th one, like every restaurant in the area should know. Like,
look, all points bulletin. If this guy comes into your restaurant,
put your hands on the wall.
Watch the fake heart attack play. I mean, like
turn red.
He's duped us for 2 heart attacks already.
What does he look like?
I mean, Coach, look at the picture.
Is he a candidate?
Pull him up.
He looks like it.
Yeah, that's what. I mean, this is what you do whenever it's like you walk into restaurants back in the day and be like, the man's pictures pinned on the cardboard cork wall, or it's like, do not let this man enter the restaurant.
That man comes here every week.
This man, he steals food. I know it. I don't have any proof, but I know it. This man's faking a heart attack.
He's a smart man.
Anybody see the so tonight Saints Jags?
Saints Jags.
I mean,
take the under. Oh, that looks like a heart attack.
He's having a heart attack.
Is he dead?
He's faking it.
Is that a shot in his coffin?
I mean, that's a prime candidate.
Yeah.
Stewie, can you pull up the LSU football Twitter account for me if you don't mind? LSU, Saints and Jags tonight. Over under 40 in the dome. Maybe no Trevor Lawrence. CJ Beathard versus David/Derek Carr.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter at this point.
They're the same player.
Kamara's out there. Mike Thomas is out there. Chris Olave's out there.
That sounds like fun when you put it that way.
Shaheed is out there. Taysom Hill's out there. The Saints can't even get 20 points.
Jimmy Graham's out there.
Right.
Is he?
He's on the team.
Love watching Shaheed play.
I mean, when you listen to a Pete Carmichael press conference, it is painful.
It's like Les Miles, but like worse.
Worse, because he's actually trying to talk about football, and he just doesn't know enough about it to talk about it. And we talked with your guy Fletcher Mackel yesterday, and he was like,
great hair.
Yes, and as optimistic as he likes to be about the Saints.
Mr. New Orleans.
Yes, he was like, 8 wins would be a godsend. And it's like, even from you, Fletch? Then by the end of it, he's like, well, maybe they rattle off 5-6 in a row. And he's like, they're not, but maybe they do. When you see the Jameis Winston, Alvin Kamara on the sidelines, where they know what they want to do.
Yeah.
And then why aren't we doing it?
Like, how are we this bad?
How are we bad on offense?
How are we this bad?
They literally got bullied by the media and by New Orleans football into, hey, you have the least amount of motion in your offense of anybody in the league within like the last 5 years. And they motion like 38% of their plays and won.
Call Matt Canada.
Exactly. At least he will run motion.
I will motion.
I'll motion you to death. Time out. Have you seen, speaking of, both are going to get fired.
Who?
Wait.
Carmichael and Canada. I don't know how Canada has it done.
Have you seen the video of the kicker in the hall?
Yeah, not because of you.
Yeah, Matt Canada's like, he's like dapping up the other coaches, and the kicker walks by and he's like, not because of you.
You can hear Matt Canada wins like, big win, let's go. He's like, you didn't have anything to do with it. Like, he like walks by the camera and you can hear him. But the Pittsburgh Steelers contingency has perfected the fire Matt Canada chant to where it is symphonic at this point. Like, you could hear the and everybody's in. Like, they're doing it on Wednesday. He is public enemy number one. And he doesn't care.
No, well,
he's got the thickest skin of anybody ever.
Tomlin's got his back.
I guess.
I mean, he's come out and publicly like.
What are y'all gonna do about it?
He's asking. I mean, every press conference he's getting asked about Matt Canada. I mean, it's
still need
crazy.
to see that footage of him.
Ed Orgeron just loves watching Steelers games.
Sure.
Yeah,
hate
told
that,
you so.
I hate that guy.
Look at this play. That happened against Troy.
Brittany Nicole, look at this. He's like got the clicker in the house.
So yesterday, I
That's what his TV looks like.
I got a text from the guy of One Team, One Podcast.
Whoops.
Matt Anderson. He was like, "Do you ever get yelled at by LSU?" I was like, "What? Who are you talking to?" I was like, "I've been getting yelled at since 2009, bro." I was like,
Since
"Why?
you
What
went to
happened?"
LSU.
Yeah. He was like, "Because I put out this image of the
camouflage,
the camo paint on the field, and like I'm getting calls from all these people at LSU." I'm like, "Yeah, well, deal with it, bro." I mean, that's kind of that's just how it works these days.
How did they get his contact information?
I don't know.
That is strange.
Because I understand why they would have yours. You've been in the game a minute, but he's been. I don't think that he's one. And this is no slight to him.
He doesn't have skin in the game like Jordy.
Yeah, he didn't work for like ESPN or a Guarantee, or has had built relationships in Baton Rouge and is personal with some of these guys. For LSU to find you out pretty quickly is impressive. Kind of scary.
He put it out there first.
I know, but I guess they hit him up on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they get your cell phone number. Then you're getting calls from 225. They're like, oh, no.
Right.
I don't think I'm working today.
Right.
Take it down. It's too late. And then LSU had to rush and make a post because we were talking about this yesterday. Because when it happened, I was like, oh, this can't be on purpose. Because he tried to put up a fake one right after. And I was like, and then he goes, oh boy. Like it was all playing out on Twitter on One Team, One Pod. And it's like, oh man, he definitely got a call. And you know that LSU had some video they were going to drop where it was like them painting the field with.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, doesn't Brian Kelly have some ties to Army and things like that?
I mean, you can hear the respect
that
he has when speaking of West Point, obviously, and really the respect that he's got for the program. So
LSU rushed out so
LSU had
to the dock, put out the picture of the end zones. But I guess if you just drive over the bridge, you could have seen it.
Nah, you can't see inside. You
can't
see
inside the stadium.
Yeah, you can see
you can only see like the scoreboards.
Yeah, you can see a little bit of like the north end zone, but you can't really see it in it.
I don't know if it was painted camouflage. But that looks. What's going on over there? I will investigate further.
Can you pull it up, Stewie?
I got it up.
Looks great.
It looks fantastic. I mean, it looks fantastic.
It's not even painted.
You have 3 weeks.
Can't see anything.
You have 3 weeks before the next game, so I mean, this will.
Yeah, it'll go away.
Oh, for sure.
But
camo uniforms, we're popping out with camo uniforms.
Bring John Cena in to do the coin toss.
Yeah, can't see him.
Can't see me. This is they should have done this in 2007 when that celebration was everywhere.
Yeah,
that's all D Bird and Jacob Hester were doing.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Bring it back. Camouflage end zone. The reviews are going to be hell.
I love it. I mean, I love the respect that it shows to the opponent this week. Obviously, if you're in Tiger Stadium, no booing, right, on Saturday.
I've seen that go around. I feel like it's going to be isn't that the ultimate sign of respect?
Yeah. Some people are like, why are we like acting like we're playing a charity organization?
Yeah, they're still a football team. They're not going anywhere.
Still got to play.
Let's send Glenn West an email.
A link.
Might be playing with the backup this week though.
Army,
yes.
And have you seen their offense?
Yeah,
they're just doing it's like the triple option,
Yeah,
from shotgun. It's very interesting. They run it about 80% of the time.
Triple option
attack.
It's weird.
And then so when you see a 3rd and 8, don't be surprised when you get that fullback run up the middle out of shotgun, and then the quarterback power right after that. They go for it on 4th down. Pretty much every single time.
Wow.
They were 10 of 10 the last 2 weeks on 4th down. They just get you in 4th and short and motor down the field. Try to bleed that clock. Maybe an under game.
I mean, that's from LSU standpoint, I think that's what they want the most.
Oh, this is a huge Spates
get this
week's game.
4 quarters, fly the clock, stay healthy, get to the bye.
And this is
LSU
LSU
getting everybody ready for 2 weeks.
And it's LSU's strength. Right? You're not attacking the secondary where it feels like you might have some wins where look at Missouri, look at Ole Miss, where the passing game is really what bit you. It feels like LSU's kind of straightened some things out on the defensive front. where you're kind of running to the teeth of what, if there's any strength on this defense, it's the front seven. So,
yeah, right.
I mean, 2 weeks ago, I'd have been nervous.
Mm-hmm.
After you saw what Ole Miss did to you, and then Missouri even gashed you a little bit, it just feels like they kind of they're getting better each week, especially on the run fits. And
run fits were
better. Good.
Yeah.
And I think Spates, as much flack as he's caught, I think he gets you lined up so quickly.
That's right. And I heard Brian
He
Kelly.
was really hurt.
I heard Brian Kelly speaking about Spates, and a lot of the argument that we've pushed on playing weeks has been because he just pops, right? He seems like he's making the play whenever he's in there. He's always around the football. He just seems like that guy that instinctively he's just ahead of the game. And the way that Brian Kelly explained Omar Spates yesterday, and just the experience factor and the little things of why he's in the lineup week in, week out, it is to that. It is to the fact that he's in the right area. He knows where everybody is supposed to be, and he does, at this point, look very much, for the first time, 100% healthy in the way that he moves. So I think it is, from Spates' standpoint, it is great to have him back at this part of the schedule where you're playing teams, that it's going to be physical games. Florida, Alabama, obviously when you're at Texas A&M. I mean, down the stretch here is going to be a push that LSU is going to need all of these experienced guys ready to go. So we will talk to Glenn West coming up here in a couple of minutes. West can give us some insight on this recruiting weekend, on what that means of Ondre Evans and the flip, what's going to happen with the defensive backfield recruiting and the aspect there if they continue to lose out on guys, and what's the future of that position. So we'll talk to Glenn coming up about that here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Remember, Glenn and the crew over there at 247 covering LSU and covering recruiting as good as anybody out there. We're also going to talk to Chris Blair coming up here at 8:15 this morning, as Blair will stop by and just kind of give us the 411 on what's happening this weekend as LSU. Remember, we're telling you that they played, including last weekend, 4 of their last 5 at home. They'll play this weekend in Tiger Stadium. They'll be off next weekend from a bye standpoint, then to Tuscaloosa in that first weekend in November, and then back home for games against Florida and against Texas A&M. So I mean, it's crazy how fast it goes, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really
it's already almost November.
It's nuts that you spend so much time talking about it, building it up. When's it going to get here? And then you get in it, and it's Christmas.
It's gone.
So
you experience things, and then it's over.
At least you got some juice from where LSU started and how early the melt happened. It feels like you've still got some juice out the squeeze of the season, because there was a point where, oh God,
it got real sad.
Yeah, it got sad quickly, and everything was burning around us. And then LSU kind of righted the ship to give us more talking points, which is always great for the biz, because to go negative is never any fun.
Right. No,
you can't do it for 10 weeks.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. All right, our friend Glenn West, big fellow from 247, is a guy that covers the program, covers recruiting in this LSU football program. Tigers coming off of a big win versus Auburn and a huge recruiting weekend. And then some recruiting news yesterday that we want to get Glenn's thought on, as well as we bring him into the conversation live here on this Thursday morning as our phone line each and every day, brought to you by our friends over at Southern Regional Medical Center. Glenn, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, Jordy. How about yourself?
Doing good, man. Good to see you this morning. All right, let's start yesterday.
Sir.
Ondre Evans. Glenn, I think this is a ripple. This is a decommitment that is going, when this one crashes onto shore, this is going to have some effect, I believe, on the LSU football program. This is a desperate area of concern in defensive back. You're not having success inside the state, and now you're losing guys out of the state. What do you make of Evans' decommitment yesterday?
Yeah, so, I mean, earlier this week, we actually wrote a piece because 24/7 Sports released its latest top 247. Ondre Evans jumped up from not even in the top 247 to number 106 overall in the country. He just made a meteoric rise in their latest rankings, and so much so that we felt like we had to write a piece on it. And, as we were writing the piece, we were kind of hearing some rumblings here about this potentially being the case. And a couple days later, here he is, a Georgia commit, and LSU is out a very, very important piece of their 2024 class. You're absolutely right. This is a kind of class-changing decision here. I think LSU is going to have to really, I don't want to say scramble, but they're going to have to put some extra work in to make sure that they can recover from this, because you're absolutely right. The secondary right now is the one position group, whether it's cornerback or safety, that you really, really have to get right with this class. I mean, there's some veteran guys at safety that you very well could be losing at the end of this year. Cornerback is still a pretty young room. They have some young guys in there that they need to develop this offseason, but you certainly would like to keep buffing that up with some talent and freshmen. And Ondre Evans was going to be a huge piece of that. Now, you still have Juwan Johnson, you have Deshaun McBride, you have Kai Bates. You're going to need to hang on to those guys for sure. But I definitely think you're going to have to see LSU pivot here and try to bring in one or two more to really be comfortable with the kind of class they're bringing in the secondary for 2024.
Glenn, any idea of what may be the reasoning here? I mean, we're talking about LSU's defensive backfield. I mean, this is royalty in college football for 15 years. Why is it struggling so much right now?
Yeah, I think it's probably a combination of a number of things. I mean, I hate to beat the NIL, train here, but I think that NIL plays a very serious role in some of this stuff. I think the fact that I would say that a lot of these corners that LSU has been pursuing for much of this cycle, they could just take really one look at the field and say, hey man, I could really have an opportunity to come in here and play early. So in terms of Evans specifically, I don't know the specifics on what led to this decision. I know that LSU staff was probably expecting it. I think it was a little bit of a mutual deal here. I think that they kind of knew that this was kind of coming down the pike, and so I think that's why you've seen them go out and they've pursued a PJ Woodland recently who just decommitted. They've pursued a Bernard Causey who's currently committed to Ole Miss. They've stayed up on Terry Bussey, who is obviously the Texas A&M commit from a couple weeks ago. So those are kind of the three that I think you're looking at as potential replacements in this class for that secondary that they really are going to be pursuing. And it's a loss, though. I mean, Evans was one of the biggest risers that we've had in quite some time. And, I know LSU probably would have liked to have held on to him, but now you've got to pivot and you've got to be able to make this thing work, because the secondary, the future of the secondary is still very much kind of up in the air right now, and they have a lot of work to do with that.
You brought up Bernard Causey. He's down there in New Orleans. LSU's made a push on him. What's his status right now?
They're trying to get him on campus. He's had a couple games the last couple Saturdays where they just haven't been able to get him on campus. So we'll see if he can make it up for the Auburn game. We don't know yet the specifics on if he's going to be able to make it up anytime soon, but I do know that LSU's pushing for him. This is the dead heat of flip season, and guys that are programs that are coming in on guys here at the last couple seconds. So with about 2 months to go and about 60 days until the early signing period, I think you're going to see a lot of movement on a lot of different prospects that LSU's going to be making some final pushes for. Causey's going to be in that number, and I'd keep an eye on Terry Bussey too. I mean, I think that the fact that you lost such a highly rated player in Ondre Evans, I'm sure there's a part of LSU that would like to make that up in a big splash way. And Bussey was on campus this last weekend, and it doesn't seem like anything's imminent there. Our Mike Roach at 24/7 says that it was a nice check-in kind of deal, and they're going to continue kind of keeping those lines of conversation open. But I think the fact that he was on LSU's campus less than 2 weeks after committing to Texas A&M, it shows you that there's still some interest there. And so I think LSU is going to continue to pursue the 5-star athlete out of Texas.
Glenn, any feedback on this past weekend from a recruiting standpoint? It feels like it was a huge weekend from a name brand standpoint, or at least the names on campus. What was some of the shakeout from it?
Oh, I mean, it was a huge weekend for the program, especially for the future. I mean, they had a number of 2025 and 2026 prospects, obviously headlined by Bryce Underwood, the quarterback. One of our colleagues, Bryce Coombs, actually able to spend about 15-20 minutes talking with Underwood's family, and they were pretty blown away by the experience. And so I do think that LSU's in the mix there for the 5-star quarterback out of Michigan. It's going to be we've always known it was going to be a tough sell to kind of lure him away from Michigan, which is about an hour away from where he lives currently. So, but LSU's made this place feel like home to him. It really sounds like his family and him are giving this a real thought, and we'll be interested to see because he's got a commitment date set for January. We'll see if he's able to, if LSU's able to keep grinding away there. He's got a great relationship with Joe Sloan. But there were so many other guys that LSU had. I mean, DeCorian Moore was back on campus. They had offensive lineman Lamar Brown, who's a local kid here in 2026, going to be one of the best players in that class. You've got to be able to close on some of these big name in-state players. I mean, especially guys like Brown. You got Jakeem Stewart coming up here in the 2026 class. You've got 2025 guys like Harlem Berry that you really want to close on as well. James Simon, the 2 running backs there. So, they're getting a lot of these guys on campus, and they're doing a really good job of recruiting them. Now it's just about closing them and making sure that the future of your program's going to be in really, really good shape.
Gabe Relaford is the one that I want out of all of them right now, and he's the guy that's made a fast rise here in his senior season. I think LSU was a little late to the offering party, but now that they have caught up on all of that, where do they stand after getting him on campus again?
Yeah, they got him on campus, and I think it went as well as a visit like that could go. I mean, we've got a piece running this morning where I kind of dove into all the potential flip guys that LSU could be pursuing over the next several weeks, and with Relaford, it really just seems like you just got to continue to chop away that wood and kind of continue to build those relationships. I think the fact that he's talking with Jimmy Lindsey now. It sounds like Coach Lindsey's getting a little bit more involved with the recruits lately. It sounds like he's doing a little bit better and having some of those talks and conversations. So that's really, really important in all this as well. If you want to build up the defensive line, you've got to know that your D-line coach is set and is going to be able to kind of be there for the future for you. So a guy like Relaford, he's a Louisiana prospect. I think they would absolutely like to keep him in state and try to flip him there. But there are a number of Texas A&M commits currently that the LSU is still in great conversation with. They're still going to be pursuing over the next several weeks. I like the versatility that Relaford could be for you. I think he could probably add some weight once he gets here and be either a defensive end or maybe even switch into the defensive tackle and nose tackle kind of position as well. I mean, he's got a lot of versatility in his game. Very, powerful, strong kid. So we'll be very interested to see kind of what comes of that. But this was a great, visit just to get him and his family on campus, and we'll see where it goes from here.
Glenn, let's go on the field now. What do you make of this offense now that we've seen the consistency of it? 5 straight games, over 500 yards of production, 600 last time out. Jayden Daniels slaughtering the numbers as far as college football is concerned. Top duo, wide receivers, best run, a top running back. What do you make of this unit?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's been a lot of 2019 talk here this week. I know I've seen it on a number of different, programs, and certainly a lot of different articles. And I'm not ready to go 2019 good, but from a pure numbers standpoint, they're putting up the only comparable season that we've seen at LSU that compares to what we're seeing right now. Is that 2019 team. I mean, they are putting up some really, really stellar numbers. You mentioned it there on the offset. I mean, but there's a realistic chance here that LSU could not only have a 4,000-yard passer, they could have 2 1,000-yard receivers and 2 1,000-yard rushers. And that's something that not even the 2019 team was able to do. I mean, I looked at the numbers again. I kind of threw it out there last week and said it would be a little bit tough, but it could be doable. And then after another 100-yard rushing game and another 325-yard passing game from Jayden, they're right on track there. If they play 13, 14 games, I think they absolutely could get there. And I'd have to go and look throughout the history of college football, but I don't know that there's ever been an offense that has done that and been that prolific in a number of different areas. Been really impressed by the way that the run game's been coming along. I think Logan Diggs' emergence has really kind of helped open things up for this offense. The offensive line is playing at an extremely high level right now. Even when they lose a big guy like Emory Jones, you come in and you have Lance Hurd, and you score, I think, 4 touchdowns on 4 drives in the second half with Lance Hurd in there. So, I mean, like, the offense didn't skip a beat when you lose one of your big pieces up front. And then, of course, Jayden has been kind of the magician of all of this. He's been absolutely fantastic in the deep third of the field. And what's really allowed him to have, I think, so much success is not only the accuracy that he's throwing with on these deep passes, but when defenses are trying to take away Neighbors or trying to take away Thomas, he can run. I mean, like his legs have been really, really outstanding for LSU the last couple of weeks. And I think a lot of it has to do with defenses respecting the deep ball. It opens up the middle of the field, and that 35, 36-yard touchdown run that he had against Missouri a couple weeks ago, where he just kind of wove through the middle of the field and scored a touchdown. That is an absolute credit to the way that he's been throwing the ball of late, and being able to use his legs is kind of a compliment to that. So they're executing at an extremely high level, and I honestly don't know if there's a defense out there, especially in the SEC, that would be able to slow them down.
Can the defense grow on this momentum? Can they be a defense that can serve or evolve into a trustable unit on that for what this offense is? It doesn't have to be much, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be much. I've been saying for several weeks now, if you can just get this defense to be average, just do the ordinary things, then I think you're going to like a lot of the results LSU has here over the next couple weeks. And I think this Auburn game last weekend was really a good taste of what this team could look like if they played total complementary football. If offense, defense, special teams are in unison for 4 quarters, then they can have a lot of results like this, and that includes the 1 and 2 weeks when you play Bama. I think if you have some of the consistency that you've seen over the last week and 2 quarters that you saw against Missouri from this defense, you're going to like your chances against anybody that you play the rest of the way in the regular season. And it's going to be interesting. I mean, I think the biggest thing here is that you've seen the defensive line and the front 7 grow a little bit. They have some consistency now in what they're doing scheme-wise, and they've rotated a pretty consistent personnel as well with the scheme that they're running. And so much of the first month of the season, it was just trying to find the right way for these guys to impact the game. And now that they've kind of settled in on this 4-man front, they've found a good spot for Harold Perkins. I think that you brought Pete Jenkins in as well, and I think that has made a difference. So a lot of the defensive linemen we've spoken to over the last couple of weeks have said that that's made a big difference for them. And so I think that they're getting better. I'm not gonna pump you full of happy thoughts here. I do think that there are still some concerns, especially in the secondary, that you gotta see when you play Bama and when you play a Florida or an A&M later this year. But I like the direction they're heading. I think that they're if you can just get them to be competent and just get them to be average or ordinary, the offense is going to take care of the rest, and you're going to win a lot of games.
One more in recruiting, G, before I get you out of here. Should we read into this Draylon Miller decommitment from A&M after a visit to Baton Rouge?
Yeah, so he's going to keep things open. I mean, I think he's got a visit planned to Colorado here on November 11th. I think Georgia's still in the mix there with him, a couple other schools as well. LSU certainly has the momentum here. I mean, coming off the visit from last weekend, I don't think it was any coincidence that he decided to decommit after making the LSU visit. I think that he can now really kind of step back and really kind of keep his options open. But no doubt, I mean, LSU lost JoJo Stone, a commitment at receiver earlier this week as well. So no doubt LSU would love to replace that with a top 60 guy, a top 7-8 receiver in our services right now. I mean, Draylon Miller is a really electric guy. I think he can see the way that this offense is rolling right now, that they would be able to mix him in well with what they have and some of the young pieces that they have on this offense already. So, I think LSU's certainly in the mix there, and we'll just have to see how the next couple weeks play out, particularly that visit to Colorado. But definitely like where LSU sits right now with him.
Glenn West 247 at Glenn West 21 on social media is where you can find him and read their stuff over at 247.com. Great stuff. Good to see you, man. We'll talk again soon.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Jordy.
There he is, Big Glenn West, checking in this morning as giving us an update on recruiting, a little bit of his thoughts on this LSU team moving forward. That conversation in our show brought to you daily by Hughes Mechanical. Remember, Hughes Mechanical is online at hughesmechanical.net, and you can find them there. Or you can also call Travis and the crew at 225-658-2147, a trusted Daikin dealer with our friends over at Hughes Mechanical. So great warranty options over there. They're based out of Zachary, Louisiana, and they serve all of South Louisiana. So no matter where you're listening, Lafayette, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, North Shore, Hughes Mechanical can help you out. Online, hughesmechanical.net. That's residential and commercial HVAC services, air conditioning services that you can trust. 225-658-2147. 225-658-2147. Tell them you heard it here on the Culotta Show. hughesmechanical.net. Hour 2 when we come back. Chris Blair going to be here with us in the hour. We'll talk to Blair about this weekend and Army coming to town, some special things that could be on campus for all of us to check out, as well as Tigers on this second half push and the bye on deck for LSU as well. We'll get back to it. Your thoughts, your chat questions, and talking more LSU Army as we come back here. Remember, give us a like, share, follow. If you have not subscribed to the show, we appreciate the subscription here on this Thursday morning. If you're watching and have not hit that thumbs up, do us a solid if you don't mind and click on that. It doesn't matter if you're watching later on in the day. If it's already been recorded and you're watching after we're live, it's all good. You can still hit that thumbs up for us. We appreciate that very much. Come back with us. Hour 2 next, built by R&B Builders. If you're in the market for a mortgage lender, you need to start with Doug Bickley and his team. Bickley has built a crew with over 50 years of combined lending experience. They've been in business for over 20 years, and they love helping their clients achieve the American dream of home ownership. They're also key with working in real estate agents and helping their clients getting same-day pre-approval. They average about one buyer a day getting them in a home. If you want to get in touch with Doug and his crew, it's easy. Call them 225-214-5154. 225-214-5154. Go see the Bickley team today. They're located on the corner of Coursey Boulevard and Sherwood Forest right here in Baton Rouge.
What's up?
What's happening?
Chilling with a couple of cool guys. You?
Chilling and watching some tube. Hold on.
Did you do it?
Hold on. Did you do it?
Roof's up.
Hold on.
Roof's up?
Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
You can't put the cart before the horse. That'd be like, will you marry me?
Do I know you?
Never sign a contract with a roofer before he gets on your roof. Call Go Roof instead. We offer a free, no-obligation inspection. A beautiful roof every single time. Bobby, goes in the front.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Offensive player of the game from LSU, Joe Burrow.
Football is life. Football is Joe Burrow.
Click Here Digital, the home of the Jordy Culotta Show. Online at clickheredigital.com. If you're looking to set Google ads, set social media campaigns, learn about SEO, display video, or even creative, Click Here Digital has the answer for you. Online at clickheredigital.com or email me directly, Jordy at clickheredigital.com.
Well, the Oscar Andrews Sports Medicine Institute collaborative effort was an idea from Dr. Andrews and myself to bring together two great names, the Andrews name and the Ochsner name, to elevate the quality of care for athletes in the state of Louisiana, where he's from.
I always thought I would come back to Louisiana and practice orthopedics with my subspecialty being sports medicine. This was an opportunity through Ochsner's to come back and work the entire state to help develop and take sports medicine to a new level.
As an orthopedic surgeon, what this means in the future in terms of, access for our community to the type of care that Dr. Andrews pioneered, words can't describe how valuable that is.
Ochsner has a great opportunity here to really grow, and Dr. Burnham, of course, is the mainstay of making that happen. If you want to have first-class sports medicine care, check in with Dr. Burnham and his group, and you'll be more than impressed and pleased.
Welcome back here, Jordy Culotta Show live here on this Thursday edition. If you don't mind, give us a subscription if you're not already subscribed to the show. Good to see you here on this Thursday morning. Talk to Glenn West from 247 in hour number 1. Glenn, give us a little insight on the recruiting up to this point for LSU. Big weekend for the Tigers in Baton Rouge versus Auburn. This was a great day to show off the environment, Tiger Stadium, and really kind of the game day atmosphere that LSU sells as far as that Auburn game was concerned. Beautiful weather, 6 o'clock kickoff, Tigers roll. It was a fantastic night for recruiting. But on Wednesday, some not so good news with Ondre Evans, who is a cornerback prospect that has been committed to LSU and had been for months, flipped to the University of Georgia. Usually not a big deal when you're talking about recruiting. Like, that stuff happens, man. It's the nature of the business. When guys commit early, they always say, coaches and players, it's when it gets interesting, right? Because that's when the heat is really turned up. So, from a story standpoint, this is not a huge story if LSU is not struggling at the defensive back play on Saturdays and in recruiting in the spring and summer, right? And even in the fall, right? Like it is now becoming a trend that you have to start paying attention to if you cover or you're interested in LSU on why are they not having success at this position specifically. This is a position that LSU was reputable for being top in the market, top in the game, king of the mountain, and now it feels like they're almost getting punked a little bit, where you're not landing guys in state. Guys that you would just. How do you lose Derek Williams?
Just pencil them in.
Back in the day. The best prospect in the state, Derek Williams, is the number one prospect in the state last year.
Pencil him in. He's an LSU commit. But he wasn't.
Didn't even sniff you.
Really, it wasn't even close. Wardell Mack is the guy's in New Orleans.
Dude don't even pick up the phone for LSU.
He won't answer a phone call. He can't get him into Tiger Stadium. It's like, hang on. Like, it's not supposed to be this hard. You could have Patrick Peterson send Wardell Mack a text, a call, a FaceTime. Be like, yo, man, hey, look.
Catch him at a game.
President of DBU checking in here. What's the problem?
Tyrann Mathieu is in New Orleans.
And I know that may not mean a ton to, ultimately what your experience is going to be like, but it shows off, like,
what it can do for you.
This is the frat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, outside of Joe Hayden, Yeah, what's she going to play at Florida for?
And Wardell Max in that Under Armour commercial with Justin Jefferson.
It just
the board could. I mean, that's obviously concerning because you're missing out on those types of players. But when you look at this class, you have 2 true corners, and that's it that are committed. Wallace Foster and Kai Bates. Because when you look at Juwan Johnson, like I understand the athlete he is, but he doesn't play. He's not a true corner. What you're seeing him do is all on the offensive side of the ball. Yeah. That's what's concerning for me is that they're not bringing any guys in that are you have to hope that now you're in the camp of if they don't flip anybody or get some late additions, you're kind of hoping Zy Alexander comes back.
I know a lot of people say it's NIL, and
that's convenient.
It is.
That's the easy play.
But LSU's doing fine in every other aspect of recruiting.
And look, I have heard sentiments in people that were within the program of starting like a DBU NIL initiative, where it's like the former. I mean, think about the money that you could compile of if you're just talking Jamal Adams, Tyrann Mathieu, and Patrick Peterson. That's 3 $100 million NFL players currently.
You go Trey White too. Trey White.
I mean, you can start throwing people in there. Trey White, Morris Claiborne, LaRon Landry got a couple of contracts. Jalen Mills is on a second contract coming out of DBU.
Yeah, he's like his 3rd or 4th.
I mean, no, he signed as a free agent with New England.
Yeah, but that's like the 3rd time he's done it.
That's like his 3rd team.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just proving my point.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
Yeah. I'm trying to prove your point.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's if you just got those collection of guys and said, hey, everybody chip in 2%, you know what I mean, of your salary this year.
You won't even know it's gone.
Like, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars for these guys that you just put into a collective just for the DB room, right? And so Patrick Peterson does pick up the call when it's time to close and say, hey, I know you're down to LSU, Florida. This call is I'm taking out of my schedule. I'm getting ready to play Cincinnati this weekend, and I want to make sure, Wardell, that you're taken care of and that you're going to be a Tiger. We're all pulling for you, and we hope you come to LSU. And, oh, by the way, if you do, here's a couple of extra K. I mean, whatever it is. But I don't know. You can't keep losing on DBs at LSU. I mean, like it's that's nonsense. I mean, somebody's got to find a formula to fix this quick. It just makes too much sense. All right, I just saw Blair walk in. Chris Blair's here, the voice of the Tigers. We'll get his thoughts on an Auburn, just beautiful game day. Great call. Heard the crew. It was a fantastic night in Tiger Stadium. Recruits were there. Tigers roll. And then we'll talk to him about how special this weekend will be with Army in town and with just what goes into calling such a special game inside Tiger Stadium, which Saturday will be. Chris Blair, when we come back here, remember daily we're brought to you by Barker Brothers, our friend over at Barker Brothers. Jude Barker and his crew every day can take care of you, whether you're on East Baton Rouge side of the river or on West Baton Rouge side. They can take care of you anywhere, really, over at Barker Brothers, located in Plaquemine, but working all of South Louisiana here. 225-776-2431. Mention the show, save 15% from Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Commercial and residential jobs, they're ready for you. Barker Brothers, get in touch with them today. Call Jude, 225-776-2431. Mention the show, save 15%. Voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, next here from Click Here Digital Campus, built by R&B.
Malik Neighbors, a wide receiver.
Favorite pregame meal?
Popeyes.
What would winning a national championship mean to you?
It would mean a lot to me because, we've seen a lot of the greats come through here, won their national championship, got, remembered for life.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Probably fly. That or telekinesis.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Do it wrong, do it long, do it right, do it light.
Kyra Lacey, wide receiver, number 2.
Do you have any nicknames?
K2.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Stay humble.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
fly. I be flying in my dreams.
What's been the highlight of your partnership with us?
The bike giveaway was one of the best things. I was pretty excited about that one. Texas A&M, I just got a point to prove because last year I dropped 2 balls I should have caught. I'm coming for them for real.
That's it. Thank you, man.
My name is Harold Perkins, and I play linebacker.
What's your favorite pre-game meal or snack?
Pasta with a little steak, something that's not too heavy.
Any superstitions or pre-game rituals?
I pray a lot. Just be me and God before the game. Perky worky. I like when they call me the percolator. I like that.
If anyone gets in a wreck, who should they call?
Gore.
Where were you born at, Greg?
Hattiesburg, Mississippi. But I claim 504 food because I was raised there my whole life. Favorite type of food is spaghetti. But you need to try spaghetti with some corn on the side. Funniest person I'd probably get Kyron Lacey. He be having me joked out every time I talk to him.
Who's the most athletic?
You know, besides myself, Perk or Malik. Future yourself, just take one day at a time, one step at a time. If you're doing something, just be where your feet are. Make sure you give 100% effort.
What is something on your bucket list?
Win a Super Bowl. That's definitely on my bucket list.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Time traveling.
Who's the fastest on the team?
Like in a short span, I would say quick trigger, I'm taking Perk. One thing most people don't know about me, probably that I moved 12 times growing up, 12 different states.
Who's the most savage on the team?
Mason Smith. Mason Smith, definitely.
And who gets it done?
Gordon.
Thank you, man. That's great.
Emory Jones, right tackle.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Got it from my mom, and she just told me, always keep your head on the swivel.
Favorite subject?
Math, easy. I kind of keep it light. Give me some type of red beans or something like that. Throw a little cornbread on the side.
Light with red beans.
Yeah, just a little bit. I am superstitious. I got some PSDs that's purple and yellow and white. I wear them every game. I feel like they my lucky draws, and you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep doing it.
Head health is incredibly important for our student athletes. One of the best ways we're trying to address concussions is on the front end. We're trying to prevent these before they happen. And a big part of that is speaking to the athletes, letting them know what to expect. Okay, speaking to the parents, what to look out for, talking to the coaches so they know the vital importance. Some of the big things we're looking for with a concussion, which is, a traumatic brain injury, is one, was there a mechanism? Was there an injury that took place that could lead to this? Often a direct blow to the head, a head-to-head hit. If someone's showing signs of concussion, our first step is always to remove them from activity, get them to a place where there's less stimuli, where we can really just sit down and get a feel for the athlete, what they're feeling. We're looking for headache, we're looking for dizziness, any sign that coordination is off, that something's just not right. Get a good evaluation of them to understand what's going on. It's not worth the risk that may be there to kind of ignore it, because there are very serious consequences if we don't treat a concussion properly.
Welcome back here, Thursday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, on our Thursday edition, we love catching up with the voice of the Tigers. Compliments of our friend Carriages of Baton Rouge. Fine clothing store here in Baton Rouge. Been around since 1981. Carriages started. Shout out to Larry Allen and the crew back in the day. To the Will Aguirre and everybody that's keeping it moving. Same spot, Jefferson Highway Shopping Center. Got the alternate LSU logos that you see Blair wearing at the radio shows here on this podcast and on Saturdays game days. If you're checking out the LSU Sports Radio Network. Great call last weekend as the Tigers roll, man, on a beautiful South Louisiana Saturday. Was the biggest, did I read this right? It was the biggest win by LSU in this series, or it was the biggest loss by Auburn in this series? It was something that I've heard this week. Either way, LSU dominated Auburn on Saturday night. Voice, good to see you here on this Thursday morning. Did you I believe you were kind of calling that performance last week into the build-up. You kind of thought that they had a chance to get right.
Yeah, I mean, and, I thought about it later in the week, Jordy. It wasn't that I was, disrespecting Auburn. Let's face it, they're in a rebuilding mode, and I'm sure Coach Freeze he'll have them, back battling very soon. Mm-hmm. It was more about, I really think LSU can really take steps forward because of what they did defensively against Missouri, which again wasn't perfect, but they made plays when they needed to. To me, it just felt like it was. I thought I thought they were going to wear them out pretty easily, just because I think LSU now is starting to click in all phases. And again, defense still has plenty of work to do. But, I've seen enough over the last 2 weeks where if you look at the total number of combined missed tackles, going into the Missouri game and then what you've seen since, I mean, there's probably under 10, would you agree, between the Missouri game and certainly the Auburn game. I thought it was the best tackling game LSU had had. So, I mean, it didn't surprise me that it was a 30-point win, 48-18. In fact, I was happy it turned out that way because that's the way it should have played out. That's how LSU should have played. And really, for the first time, it's an amazing stat, and I'll probably screw this up, but in 14 SEC games, LSU has led after the end of the first quarter twice.
Wow.
And certainly this year the MO has been, I won't say a sluggish start, but, takes a little time to get warmed up. And then once they do, look out.
Right.
But it was all on display from the very get-go on Saturday. So I like that step forward.
What happens if they develop a third wide receiver?
They become very difficult to defend.
Right?
Yeah, you saw a little bit of it. It's interesting because even though Auburn tried to do everything they could to take Malik out of it, he still ended up with 6 catches and still impacted the game. And, of course, Kyron Lacey had a big game. And again, we kind of touched on it last week, like who is the potential candidates to be that third target. And I think, limiting the drops and bringing the football in for Kyron is his biggest step. I think he runs good routes. I think he gets open. And if he continues to hold on to the football, I think he certainly is one of those candidates behind Malik and Brian Thomas Jr. It just adds, just another weapon. It's like, the video game analogy when you're playing, you want to have, 17 different weapons. And LSU has had, Jayden, obviously, and Malik and Brian. And now suddenly, and I'm not sure, I think I'm going to ask Coach Kelly tonight, how close to 100% Mason Taylor is, just to see if he is 100% healthy. But there's another guy that, you can count on. And it just, what are you going to take away if you're a defense? What are you going to concentrate on? Mm-hmm. And then, as we've said for the last 2 weeks, the emergence of the run game and Logan Diggs and Jayden Daniels being able to run effectively when he wants to. But based on the play of the offensive line, we're watching a very, very impressive offense. Again, everybody holds that standard to 2019, and why shouldn't they? Mm-hmm. Because arguably that's the best in college football history. But, these numbers are closing in on that, man.
Yeah, they are.
As I've said, it's done maybe in a different way than in 2019. Again, because I think Jayden has that potential to run where Burrow kind of surprised some people. Not that he couldn't run, but that wasn't his bread and butter. But the fact that Jayden can do it designed, Jayden can do it when a play breaks down, and then he's got all these other weapons he's utilizing. It's a salty offense.
You've probably called a couple of thousand football games in your career. Probably over 10,000 football games. Have you seen true freshman offensive line play like you've seen the past 2 years? What did you see Lance Hurd? He kind of a plug-and-play guy at that level. That was a conference game. You just plug this 18-year-old in, and you don't lose much ground on it.
Yeah, when Emory went down, I know Gordy on the sideline said, hey, immediately we're going to see Lance Hurd come in and take over that position. And, it was amazing. I'm sure everybody watching at home, everybody in Tiger Stadium was like there was absolutely no drop-off.
Yeah.
And again, that's no slight to Emory Jones Jr. That's the fact that
SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week.
Right. That's the fact that Emory is fantastic, and Lance Hurd has been able to be around those guys and learn and be able to step right in and still deliver what is expected of him. So yeah, you think about it. We talked about what Will and Emory did last year, starting tackles in their freshman campaign, which was unheard of at LSU, and now you've got a young group, relatively young group, I should say, at least when you talk about those three, who now have some solid experience, and they're so talented. Like, how many years since really 2011, and then you had 2019, But how many times has it been we're not deep at the offensive line, we're not as big, we're not able to impose our will? I mean, the future looks pretty bright up front offensively for LSU, just with those three names alone, not to mention some of the other younger guys that have been called upon.
I'd imagine calling a game versus a military school is a pretty cool deal.
Yeah, I mean, I worked with Coach Monken 4 seasons, and he was very good to me. And, I sent him a note earlier in the week. Not sure I'm going to be able to get down to the field, and just based on what I have to do. Hopefully I can get to see him personally. But, I mean, he had a big impact on my career because he's similar to Coach Kelly in a lot of ways in the fact that – I used to say this about Jeff Monken when he was at Georgia Southern. He didn't take excuses because he never made excuses. So when you were working, if you had any input or any association with football, when your time came to do whatever you were supposed to do, you better be ready, and it better be seamless, because that's what he expected, and that's the standard he holds himself to. And so, after 4 years, he goes to Florida and beats the Gators in Gainesville, and less than a month later, they're introducing him up there in West Point, which is a perfect fit. I think of Coach Monken, the military academy, and plus he had time there. He coached as an assistant at Navy under Paul Johnson. But it is something because we played, when I was at Georgia Southern, we played Navy on 2 occasions there, and both were great games. And it's just, it's the Air Force, Navy, and West Point. I mean, while they don't battle for championships and they're not at the top of college football, they have their place because they have such great tradition. And you're talking about, young men who are it's much bigger than just football, but they're enjoying it. I mean, Coach Kelly said it multiple times. I mean, Saturday and game days, their day off. I've heard a lot of talk about let's be easy on Army. I don't know if that's exactly what's being said, but those guys don't. I mean, those guys, I heard Jeff in his press conference Monday basically say, this is an awesome experience for our guys, that they get to go play in Tiger Stadium in that intimidating atmosphere against that historic program, walk in there as brothers, arm to arm, again, not comparing it to real battle. Sure. But, I mean, that's how they approach this. So, I don't think they need – I mean, I honestly, I don't understand booing other teams. I just you can make a place intimidating without having to boo another team. I mean, but if you want to, okay, knock yourself out. It's just not something I do. Yeah. But those guys aren't – this is actually their day off, as Coach Kelly said, and they're looking forward to it. But, it's an interesting team because it's not the Jeff Monken team I saw for 4 years, and it's not the Jeff Monken team that he's had offensively for the previous 9 at Army. So it's a little different, but they're still gonna run the ball, try to run the ball.
Do you peek ahead to basketball yet? I know they have media days that are popping up in Birmingham. How do you handle this part of the schedule where sports kind of overlap?
Well, it's good because they usually practice in the afternoon, and so a couple of days I've been able to go over to the operations center for basketball and the practice facility and watch the team. And of course, Coach Brady is I think in town. Somewhat, and he's been able to take some in, so I've talked to him about it, and I'm lucky because my office is right next to men's basketball, so I see the assistants and I see Matt, on a daily basis, so I get a chance to kind of get their feedback on preseason. So yeah, because it's here, we're going to do the exhibition game. I think John and I will do the radio and also the SEC Network Plus coverage of the Louisiana Christian game coming up, believe it or not, next week. Cool. But basketball is here, and I know the Tigers picked 13th at SEC Media Day, but no place to go but up.
That's right. Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, 6:30 kickoff on Saturday, which means 2 hours prior to that, you can check out the LSU Sports Radio Network coverage, 4:30 for Hunt, Marlon, Brandon, and the crew, getting you set for Saturdays in Tiger Stadium as we come down the stretch here. Just a couple of more opportunities. It's crazy how fast it goes. We spend all summer, all time talking about it, and then you look up and it's nearly Christmas. Chris Blair will be at TJ Ribs tonight for the Brian Kelly Show. He'll be Saturday, of course, inside Tiger Stadium, bringing you all the action. And here every Thursday, every time he's here, it's compliments of our friends over at Carriages with Will and the crew. Great to see you, man.
Yeah, man. Good to see you.
Have a great call on Saturday.
Yeah, let's do it. Have fun.
All right, we'll be back. More of the show. We'll wrap it up after this. Built by RMB live here on Click Here Digital Campus. Don't let concerns about shifts in the market disrupt your long-term financial goals. Edward Jones financial advisor Daniel Newman can help. He'll work with you on an investment strategy for long-term results. Edward Jones can give you the tools and knowledge for a steady approach to hitting your financial targets. Get started today by calling Daniel Newman at 225-261-8262, 225-261-8262. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Belmont Stakes Race Trainer. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, go roof.
Phil's Oyster Bar, a staple of South Louisiana since 1945, located in Southdown Shopping Center and online at philsoysterbar.com. If you log online, you can learn about the private party schedule, the catering menu, and even order online. Daily lunch specials Monday through Friday. Learn about the history when Gus Piazza took it over in the early 70s, made it an absolute stop-in for everyone who came through Baton Rouge, and now Anthony, his son, carrying on the tradition. Phil's Oyster Bar, Southdown Shopping Center, and online, philsoysterbar.com.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot. Oh, yeah. Sticking the roofing.
For a hole in your roof, or a whole new roof, go roof. Roof, roof, go roof.
As primary care sports physicians, the things we think about the most with our athletes from a medical standpoint usually involves the head, the climate, and the heart. We have to be very careful about participating in sports when it is safe, but also having the proper equipment to take care of them if we are worried about the athletes. So here in Louisiana, obviously heat can be a big problem. Things that I think about as a primary care sports medicine physician is that it's safe enough for our athletes to participate. And there are certain regulations that we follow here at Ochsner, but throughout the entire state, to make sure it is safe for our athletes to participate. When we think about concussion, we have to really recognize those symptoms from the forefront, and that becomes a cultural issue as well. As for the heart, screening exams are by far the most important thing that we can think about. We go through a series of questions, but also listen to the athlete's heart and ask about family history and other symptoms they may have had in the past. By doing so, we can identify and potentially screen out athletes to make sure that they are safe to participate in the sports that they love to do.
Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Here you go.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Ochsner,
We know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Let's be us. Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's smell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
A real passion of mine is ACL injuries, but not just really in the treatment of ACL injuries, but how do we keep them from happening? So right here at Ochsner, we're doing some research studies on ACL injury prevention. We're working with some of our high schools, and we're testing different functional tests for athletes. And we're trying to identify people that are at risk for ACL tears. We're trying to catch them before those ACLs happen. And then we want to intervene with some injury prevention programs. And that's something that, being part of Ochsner Andrews Institute, and we can continue on that research. We can expand the impact of that research. We can bring that to more athletes in our community.
Welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show, as always, built by our friends over at RMD Builders, and we're live here on the campus of Click Here Digital. Click Here Digital live is located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, as a full-service marketing agency on Interline Avenue, in between Jefferson and, Drusilla and Airline Highway. If you want a direct contact, you can get in touch with me at Jordy at clickheredigital.com, clickheredigital.com for contact over here at Click Here. We were talking a little bit with men's basketball, about men's basketball, with Chris Blair as we were wrapping up that interview with Blair, voice of the Tigers. And you can check all of that out, always podcasted to you on any podcast form. Here, just search Jordy Culotta Show wherever you check out your podcast at. About this men's basketball, and I'm telling you this story with Jaylen Cook, it's not going to end well for LSU. This is not going to go well for LSU from the NCAA standpoint, and I think that this is going to be another decision that is going to make zero sense from the NCAA, and how they have the ground to stand on and make a decision like this still baffles me. Baffles me that they still have the authority and power to hold Jaylen Cook's status like they are. I mean, first off, the fact that there is not a decision made on this is ridiculous. I mean, this is now going on months on months. I think it's like 7 months that they've been waiting on the decision on Jaylen Cook. Like, what in the hell do you do, NCAA? What is on the itinerary today that could come in between you telling Jaylen Cook about what his status is for his year at LSU? So to catch you up on the story, Jaylen Cook comes out of Walker High School. He's Mr. Basketball in the state of Louisiana. He signs with LSU. He spends his freshman season in Baton Rouge, led by Will Wade. The same Will Wade program that the NCAA pointed and painted as the poster child of just black ops. Like just the worst of the worst. Below ground, I mean, like underground basketball. Like they're doing things over there that never even they would have thought of in the Indianapolis offices. Like get out while you can type stuff. Will Wade is the worst person ever put on earth. The program is being run into the ground, and it's being done with schemes that they've never even heard of. So they paint Wade's program as just this poster child of what's wrong with college basketball. So Cook decides, while Wade's leading the program, he's going to go over to Tulane. And while at Tulane, Cook thrives, becomes one of the great scorers in college basketball, averaging 20 plus a game, just ripping up the American Conference. Decides he wants to come back to LSU, where it all started for him. Came out as a freshman, decided he wanted to go to the hometown school. Now that there's a new coach in place and everything's cleaned up in the program, right? Like now it's being run completely and totally different than the days of old where it was just over the top cheating. And now Jalen Cook says, I want to come home. I want to go back. And he makes this decision in the summer. And still, a week and a half before the season starts, the NCAA doesn't even have the respect to let him know what's going on. Like, hey, you can or you can't play. They hadn't even ruled on it yet. They continue to do whatever the hell they do. No, I mean, like, it is the greatest fraud, secret, cartel, mob, mafia, just country club, whatever the hell they do up in Indianapolis to dupe everybody. I don't know why everybody falls for this thing. Has not come out and told Jalen Cook what his status is. Won't tell him. Who knows? But they tell him that you're going to find out here maybe over the next week. I can tell you it's not going to be good for LSU. They're going to come out and say that he's ineligible off of this transfer. For whatever reason. I guess this is his second transfer. And now he's going to have to miss this season. Or however much time the NCAA deems that he's going to be out.
They let JT Daniels transfer to 7 schools. The same NCAA.
And LSU is going to be without the point guard that's been practicing with the team all season long. The guy that when you go out and watch him play, gives you about 20, 23, controls the pace, the ball, doesn't turn it over. A week and a half before the season, NCAA is just going to swoop in, pluck him off the team with really no explanation. Nothing that's going to make sense to us. And not just because we're LSU fans. To the college basketball world, it's not going to make sense. Hell, to the sporting world, it's not going to make sense. And they're just going to be able to do it without any repercussion. They're going to be able to do it after the Supreme Court dressed down the president of the organization, telling the NCAA that what they're doing is illegal. I mean, how many times can we play that soundbite? Can we play that clip of the Supreme Court telling the NCAA what you're doing is illegal in every country? Forget third world countries. Every country on the planet, this is illegal. And the doors are still open. They still run business. They still have the authority to tell Mason Smith, you're missing a game for what you did 2 years ago. They still have the authority to tell Jalen Cook, you may be ineligible for the season because we don't like the way you transferred. I don't get it. In the same week that Kansas basketball is deemed and served 0 penalty. After 2 years ago, I thought they were taking the program away from them. I thought it was going to be on the table. 2 years later, they vacate 15 wins.
And a banner.
And they're on probation. They take a banner down.
Not even the national championship banner.
I mean, like, really? Like, if you're a real LSU basketball fan, you should look at the NCAA. Like, they are your grave digger. The NCAA took a basketball program that was finishing for 4 years in a row. They were top 3 in the conference. Think about that. LSU basketball for a 4-year stretch finished in the top 3 in the league. They were recruiting at a high level. They were putting guys into the NBA. They were making it to the tournament. And the NCAA came in here, crippled the program, and now 3 years later, the only comparable program out there vacated 15 wins, took down a banner, and is on probation. If LSU just flips them the bird, they're still cruising. But LSU plays by the rules, gets rid of Wade, sacrifices the basketball program to keep the football program untouchable, And still 2 years later, the NCAA is going to come in and take their legs out again and take their point guard off the team. After they deemed Wade's program the blueprint and the model of what's wrong with college sports, LSU cleans it up. Jaylen Cook comes back to the program that's now cleaned up according to the NCAA. Wade's gone. The administration's gone. Cook's back, and he's ineligible. Why? Just 'cause. When's he eligible again? I don't know. Can we know in the next 7 months? Maybe. Like, what? What? How?
And this is all off the heels of Tez Walker at North Carolina, where they did the exact same thing, and you get public pressure from Mac Brown. Politicians had to step in. Tez Walker plays against Miami, 6 catches, 3 touchdowns, 150 yards. And they reversed their decision based on...
They reversed it because Mac Brown wrote a letter to the public, and he got a tidal wave of public sentiment behind him. Mac Brown's a big, lovable, huggable guy in the NCAA that everybody loves. And he put a letter out just crushing them. I mean, like just crushing the organization. Talking about just how fraudulent they are. I don't understand why more people don't come out and just call them out. Like, no, Mason Smith's playing. No, Jaylen Cook is playing. Like, what do you mean? You deem he can't because why? It's insane. I really, I thought the doors were closed when a chief supreme justice on the court of the highest court in our country sat down, the president of the organization sat down in front of the committee of the Supreme Court and got just, I mean, like if you've, it's principal office stuff. I mean, it's like, we're dead. I mean, like, we are dead. We just got crushed. I mean, they looked at him and said, this is legal nowhere. Like, this isn't...
What kind of racket y'all have been running?
This is amazing that you've been able to get away with this. After it was called out, after it was brought to light, they're still going. They're still functioning. How? Like, how in the hell do they operate after our highest power of judgment said to them, it's illegal?
You have no jurisdiction here.
They've got no law. They've got no subpoena power. They've got no rule. They've got nothing that they can fall back on. How? I mean, how do they have the authority to tell LSU that their point guard is ineligible? On what grounds? On what grounds do they have to say that that is illegal? Your whole organization is illegal. And this isn't hearsay. This is being called, the courts called it that. The legal system deemed it that. Why are you still operating? How do you still have a voice? And when you do speak, why do people listen? It's unreal to me, man. It really is. I mean, I know that Jaylen Cook doesn't make LSU a national championship contender. He's their starting point guard, though. I mean, you want to lose Jayden Daniels a week and a half before the season starts? Because of something the NCAA said?
We already did it with Mason Smith.
I cannot believe that this organization, speaking of the NCAA, still has authority. How? It's mesmerizing. I mean, it's just, what do they have on people? Why? How? And if it's because the presidents still run the organization, then okay, well then the presidents who run the institutions have to look and say, this is antiquated. This doesn't make sense. This is built for 1800 type stuff. This isn't 2023 rule book, handbook that we're going to be able to govern the intercollegiate athletics off of. I mean, if a kid transfers from a program that we, as the NCAA, paint as just horrible, and then he wants to come back after it's cleaned up, aren't we kind of like cutting our nose off to spite our face if we say he's ineligible? I mean, the kid, we should be celebrating him. From our organization, if you're the NCAA, I mean, you could use this guy as somebody that you're like, hey, he was leaving something that was painted in controversy. Now he comes back when all the flowers are bloomed. No, he's still ineligible. Why? I don't know. Just because.
We've already ruled on the matter.
It's
well, and if you learned
so painful,
right? And if you learned anything from what happened, like I said, with the North Carolina situation, you can't take them to task. The NCAA, if you mount enough public pressure against them where they're forced to make a decision on their decision and actually come up with a reason or prove any sort of evidence as to why they're doing something, they can't do it. And they have no leg to stand on. They have nothing to punish you with. They have no power. It's the biggest elephant in the room that everybody can see now. So listen, you don't have you're not
that's my point.
That's what I'm saying. But if you take it a step further and don't, what are they going to do? Then that's when it becomes some team, organization, coach, whatever it may be. And I don't know if this is LSU basketball's fight to fight. If they were going to do that, they would have done it earlier. But you saw that.
No, it was Bill Self.
Yeah.
I mean, really, Bill Self showed you how to play the NCAA because Bill Self is bigger than the NCAA. If you take Bill Self away from college basketball, there will be a demographic that revolts. I mean, the Kansas Jayhawk fan base is it's Alabama football. It's Kentucky basketball. It's LSU baseball. I mean, it's these demographics of people that if you mess with them, they're coming after you. And Kansas basketball and Bill Self have that. They got that stigma. They have that power behind them where, hey, yeah, mess with me. See what happens because I'm not listening to what you have to say. Look at the way that Kansas handled in the face of NCAA telling them that they had 3 level 1 sanctions. Like, what's that mean?
According to
you could lose the whole program. Try me. Try me. Go ahead. See if you can take away the Kansas basketball program. Try it. Okay, 3 years later, hey, we're going to need 15 wins back from 2018, and can you take that banner down? Sure. I mean, I guess.
It's an eyesore anyway. It's not an Addy.
I mean, and Bill Self, you can keep your job. Yeah, no shit. I know I can. I didn't miss a day of work because of it. I mean, like, they showed that's how you handle the NCAA. Like, hey, we need to talk. No, we're not talking to you. We need to talk to your assistant coach. No, you're not going to talk to him either.
But we ran a federal sting.
Show me where you have the power to get these guys to sit down. We don't.
Sting
Sweet.
operation.
Get the hell out of here.
Wasting money.
I mean, like, just get out of here, man. Like, leave us alone.
We got federal funds.
You're cheating. Yeah, I know. I know we are.
So is he.
Yeah, right.
So is he.
This is non-profit.
Y'all checked out Krzyzewski's program yet?
All right.
What'd y'all do about Roy Williams when he built the fake curriculum at North Carolina?
He's a
Nothing?
West Point
Oh, y'all didn't
grad.
do anything to him? Sweet. Get the hell out of here. Like, what are we doing? What are you doing? Jalen Cook's ineligible. No, he's not.
He's going to play tomorrow.
You'll see him on the court.
If ineligible means that he's starting tomorrow, then yeah, you're right. He is ineligible. I mean, Mason Smith can't play against Florida. Yeah, he is. Or what? You'll vacate the win 5 years later? Okay.
Cool. Still going to come this year.
Yeah, right. I mean, it gets you to a bowl this year, which you have no power over? Okay. I mean, like, it's just unreal, man. I mean, like, these big personalities in college sports, it's just going to, like Bill Self, you know, like, give me one. Yeah, mess with Calipari.
Huh.
I mean,
I am your sport.
Mess with, like, even like today, like, mess with Bruce. Like, I wish the Bruce Pearl thing would happen today.
Oh, God.
Because Bruce Pearl's the type of dude that he'd be like, you got me for lying about a barbecue? And I got to miss how many years? Like, nah. Nope.
I mean, you can even go back to Javonte Smart with LSU. Like,
Yeah.
he's playing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the NCAA, they handled that the right way.
Yeah.
The NCAA actually sat him against Vanderbilt, and LSU was like, well, hang on. Why are we sitting him? And they're like, well, just in case there's some evidence.
He's playing.
You don't have any evidence? Not really. Like, he put him back in the lineup.
Starting point guard.
Yeah, he's a starting point guard. What do you mean? Not only that, like, you could get your ass handed to you in a lawsuit if you sit this kid on a scholarship that's here to play basketball and we hold him out over some BS that you tell me doesn't exist. Like, no. We don't want any part of that. Like, Javonte, you're the starting point. Get back to work.
And in the era of NIL like that, you're taking away opportunity to make money.
How in the hell does the NCAA have the power to tell Jaylen Cook that he misses a game? Much less the season. Where? Where does that call come from?
Oh, Pat Forty's going to have a field day. He's back.
Oh, God.
You're going to get the article. He's got it in the chamber.
All right, have a good day, man.
Damn it.
I can't believe it, man. I just can't. This Jaylen Cook situation, I'm going to go nuclear next week when this happens because they're going to do it. They're going to rule him ineligible, and it's just going to be amazing. And LSU's going to listen, which, I mean, I know that whoever takes those calls in compliance and, your job's on the line. So if you play Jaylen Cook or you play Mason Smith and ultimately LSU gets in trouble because of it, I mean, that's your job. And, who the hell am I to say, hey, play him? But I just... It feels like that's what it's going to take, and there's so many like the Tez Walker situation at North Carolina. I mean, the NCAA, we found new evidence. Get the hell out of here! You didn't find new evidence. You feel that the weight of the world is crashing on your shoulders, and everybody is just pounding you from a PR standpoint. I mean, that's all it takes to bully these people. While they just sit up there and play golf all day. And making money off of Mason Smith and Jaylen Cook?
It's nonprofit.
At tea times important, Coach.
I mean, really, what's taking so long to get Jaylen Cook his information?
Well, sun goes down early. Got to get 36 in.
Yeah. Couple drinks.
Dog at the turn.
Thursday night football's on.
Yeah, football every day this week.
Yeah. Got a lot of things going on down there.
Hit that like button for us if you don't mind. Share button if you don't mind. Comment on the show. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscription button. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., closing out the week. Saints and Jags tonight.
Under.
Oof. Under 40.
Great football.
Got it at 42.
I mean, 42.
I got it early, Coach. As soon as it comes out, I just slam the under. I don't even look at the number.
No, I would too. So you get beat on it.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. RMB builds us every single day.
Go Dale.
Hey, Chino. Put my headphones up, bro. Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta show, come have a good time. It's the hottest show around, we ain't gotta flex. Call up G, we get it done, we earning our respect. Tell recruits to let us in, where they going next. Throw up the L's, now we lit, band playing neck. From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we live, mic'd up for show. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta show, yeah. Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the